The following Dysfunctional Gaming podcast was filmed in front of a live Twitch audience. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Dysfunctional Gaming's Talking D&D. I am Thundercat0420. Over to the left there is GM Patch Nasty. How are you today, GM Patch Nasty?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You excited for another episode 46?
I thought you were talking about Zombo Force.
No, well, we can talk about that.
Well, I mean, see, that was my segue. Go right ahead and continue to talk about Zombo Force as I broke into it. So, what happened this week? You had your first ever what kind of episode?
We dropped our musical episode on Saturday. Had pretty good reviews so far. It was interesting. It was so bad it's good. It was so good it's bad. One of those things is true. I don't know which one it is.
More importantly, you had interaction on the video. Go on.
Yes. We have episode 4, season 2 coming out next week on the 11th of December at 11 p.m. So look out for that. And then right after that, we're going to take a break for, I think, 4 weeks, and we're back on the 8th of January for Christmas break.
Yay. Bring, ding, 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 ding.
So if you want to catch up on that, you can on YouTube. We have our whole first season there and 3 episodes of season 2 available for your pleasure right now. Leave us some comments if you like it. If you don't,
say something. Just fucking anything.
It's we don't care. We want to hear what you guys think. Add if you have any ideas, if you have any theories, we'd love to hear them, because we've made a lot of lore for this show that's not gonna get seen unless we make it to like season 8 or 9, because we've thought of long way ahead of time of what's going on here. So
I have a challenge for everyone listening or watching this. Go comment on that episode. I'm gonna watch it before next week's episode. The Talking D&D. So go watch the musical. I'm gonna go through and read everyone's comment, and Randy will come back, and we're gonna do the quick little YouTube comment read, the Randy Raid comment read.
All right.
So any comment that's on there, I'm gonna read as Randy. More importantly, I am excited about this week's episode, but I was way more excited about last week's episode because we talked about monsters, and it's my favorite thing about D&D. We talked about oozes and slimes. Oozes and
ooze counterparts. Oozes and ooze counterparts.
Because you can't say slime or molds, because slime and molds are not. See, it's broken. Fucking quit it. Either fix it or fucking don't use it.
You need to fix that shit.
Fucking. They added a new one as we did that episode. Now there is the Dragon's Blood ooze, which can do a breath attack and pull you 30 feet in. It's a 30-foot cone, and it can pull you 30 feet towards the ooze. It's mean. I like oozes, but what are we talking about this week?
We're going to go back to the players side of things, and we're going to talk about fun little players tips and tricks that we can give out to help players make things easier for themselves, or maybe something that they might have not have thought of when coming to the game or during a game. So starting off, I would say my biggest tip, the number one tip that I have for every player ever playing D&D, remember to have fun. That's my biggest thing, is have fun. If you're not having fun, then what's the point?
Not wrong.
Then it's work.
and you don't want to play. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be fun, and it's not work. Shouldn't have to work it for it.
I know Disto. He hates hanging out with us too. He just runs away whenever we play video games with him.
Well, I mean, that's like me. I mean, you got like, but then again, you don't want me griefing in the middle of an Apex.
Disto just takes off, and then he's like, "Oh, I got guys on me," and then we're like, "We're not near you. Sorry. All right, we're coming." That's
Ash,
why he
play
hates
some
having
Phasmo.
fun. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll play some hide and seek.
Hey Disto, good evening.
Evening, Disto.
Thank you for hosting before we were live.
A tip for players. It's one of the things that I do all the time now. If you're rolling to attack something, or you just roll the dice, no matter what. Like, I'm gonna fireball something. Save yourself a little bit of time. Have that 8d6 ready, and just drop it. Count it up while the DM is making saves, or roll your great axe damage with your attack roll, and start learning the math of it, so that way you can do reverse math and figure out, like, because I can roll. Hold on, I will roll. What level were we in?
So roll. Just you're a barbarian. You're rolling a d12.
I'm 2.
You're
I'm
yeah. You're rolling
rolling.
a d20 with
What
advantage.
level were we?
You're gonna roll it with advantage,
Advantage?
and you get your +5 to attack, and plus
Plus 5?
+5 to attack and +3 damage, because you're
Okay.
have a 3 in strength.
23 to hit
That hits.
for 6 points of slashing damage.
Because you rolled all your stuff together.
Let's say, if I was a rogue and I have advantage, here's my 3d6 plus my d8. An 18 on the die is probably going to hit for 2 plus 3, 5 points of slashing damage, and then 13 points of sneak attack damage. It's once you start learning up your dice rolls and learning the core functions of D&D, like, your DC is always your 8 plus proficiency plus your modifier. If you know what the modifier is and you know what your proficiency is, you have that base number, so you can just look at your front sheet. You don't have to flip anywhere. Same with attack rolls. It's proficiency plus the modifier. So if my strength is a 10 and I'm proficient with smacking with a quarter stick and I'm a level 5 character, I'm probably just going to be rolling a +2 if it's not a magical quarterstaff to hit, and then it'll be +0 on the damage die to add, because the 10 is a nothing.
Right, and having those dice like available right away, instead of being when the DM's like, all right, what are you gonna do? I want to attack. You're gonna have advantage. You roll, if you have 2 d20, roll both d20 and your damage all at once.
Well, I have a tip for players. Never assume that you have.
Well, no, I'm not saying assume, but I'm saying get into you're flanking something. You had advantage on the last attack. Have the dice ready in your hand, and when you say you want to attack, the DMs will say, "Yeah, with advantage." You already have the 2 dice in your hand plus all of your damage dice to roll with you at that one time. So, like, keeping that stuff close is very important as well. Like having that extra dice, if you're a wizard and you know you're going to cast a fireball, you should probably have at least 8 d6 in your tray.
If you're a dice goblin, you probably already have a set of 8 d6 that look like fire dice.
Right.
As my lovely fiance does.
But if you don't, you could go raid the Yahtzee box, and there's your 8 d6. Like,
paint them red and then fucking
make your own dots. Yeah,
or yellow. Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Be creative.
But you should have at least 8 d6 if you're going to cast fireballs. If you plan on doing it, get those dice with you.
So let's start at the beginnings.
I have one tip that is like straight one of the first things I think, other than having fun, this is a very important tip that I think works really good for like 75% of people. Write out your character. Write it out
Yes,
on paper. Because then you'll know what you're doing. Don't just... Oh, my dog's barking. Don't just post stuff in into an app and hope that the app's going to push everything together.
Yeah, no. Hi, Stan! He's still barking, so I'm just going to talk now. So, he's not wrong, folks. It's one of those things that you should always at least make. Anytime you start a campaign, you should have a paper character, no matter what. It helps the character making process. It helps knowing where things are on a character sheet, no matter what type of character sheet you have. And then it keeps things organized, and then you can add your flares, and it gives. And if you're playing at a table, it gives you something to doodle on, as opposed to just playing with MS Paint.
I mean, from a DM's perspective, I hate seeing electronics at the table. Unless you're using your tablet directly to have like D&D Beyond on it, or like your character sheets like literally right there. Because if I see you have a tablet, then you shouldn't be on your phone. But so that's one of the things, and that's another thing. As a player, like DMs see things and they don't necessarily say it, but they think it.
We never say it. We never say it. We never say it until it fucking really bothers us. Go on.
Yeah, normally it's a post in like the group chat 3 days later. Hey, got the shit. I think writing everything down is important, because then you learn your character faster. And then you can go back and update it every level on that sheet. So use pencil. I love the Ticonderoga.
I have one that says "Take notes, bitch."
Oh yeah, I have that one too.
But going into like character creation, starting at like one of my favorite tips is read the classes before you play one. That way you know how some of your mechanics. As a DM, you can only be new for so long until I want to go and say, "Hey, man, is there something that you're having a hard time grasping, or are you not paying attention?" Because I'm that type of person when I've reached my final straw. But that's one of the things that I will always tell you. Like, if you want to play a wizard, cool. Assume you'll get to at least level 3 if your DM's nice and allows you to have a feat at level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 18.
No, it's cool. They don't have to be nice. They have to be cool.
Yeah, same thing. But like, assume you're going to be at least level 3, so read ahead. Read ahead at your level 2 wizard stuff, like what kind of like schools you want to be, so that way if you level up over a session, you're fine. You're not out in the weeds.
Right. See, also when you're starting a character, I recommend doing your background first, because you get automatic skills. So when you pick your class, you get to choose some skills out of the list. Some of them are already probably going to be on your sheet because of your background. So
I disagree and say race. Pick your race first.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, when you're picking skills, pick background before class. Do your background before your class.
Race. What did you do before you became an adventurer? What type of adventurer are you? Right. Boom. That's really all you need for the first.
But I don't mean backstory. I mean background from the book, because of your class options.
I'll ask you questions like, who do you know in this town?
If it's important for my storyline, yeah, I'll ask questions. Yep.
Typically, I won't ask people for a backstory.
I also don't make a backstory that important to your character. Make it about a paragraph with some names and who they are and how they relate to you. You don't even need to
remember them.
Yep.
All right, so we've made a character. We've talked a little bit about combat. So let's do something weird. Let's imagine that we aren't big role players, Thundercat. What tips would you give people who aren't big role players? Like they don't know how to talk to like I know how to talk to an NPC in character, but there are some people who are shy.
Okay, so every time I make a character, I try to think of what they sound like first in my head, how they would sound. That's why we got Malcolm Sandy figures. And for me to get into character with the voice and roleplay like him, I literally have to say his name out loud.
Malcolm Sandy.
I have to say Malcolm Sandy Fingers to get into Malcolm Sandy Fingers' character. So now I'm here. I'm just going to talk to you. What? Huh? I didn't say anything there. But it was Malcolm Sandy Fingers. So
but if you didn't do like a voice,
if you don't do a voice, you could just kind of look perplexed, or if you're trying to question someone, you don't necessarily even have to say a word. You could just be like, and just stare at someone.
But I mean, in the role playing aspect, like you're trying to haggle with, like barter with someone, and you want to say that you want to persuade someone, but you don't know how to like say, well, I would like to make a persuasion check, and then if the DM says, what do you say?
I guess it depends on what your character is good at. So if, let's say you're the rogue, then you probably have some good charisma already, so that's why you're haggling. You could do... I mean, you could probably just say what you want to say.
Say what you want to say.
If you're not like good at role playing, you can just be like, well, I would like to take 3 gold off of this, sir.
Okay, that's a good way. That's a good way.
I don't know if that's what you were trying to get at.
Well,
what would you do?
Because I'm all right. Let me.
So it's hard when you're actually a decent role player and you're like asked a question like that. You're like, shit. How would I go about it?
Well, I'm DMing a Saturday game and a Sunday game now. So the Saturday game, I've got a person who's played D&D, and it's kind of I can feel the role player there. I've got Griff, and we know Griff's abilities with his role playing, and then I've got another player who's not there yet. So like I want to persuade this person, and I've already asked them what would they say, and I can hear that. So like the ways that you can say I want to make a performance check without having to say words to a character, because I thought about it before we started the episode. Kind of like use your hands to talk a little bit. Like I want to talk to him about how I've seen a couple of things a little bit cheaper down the street, and then maybe take a couple of extra gold and like play with it in my fingers. Maybe if he could give me a discount, I could maybe get some more people for him like that, and not have to like talk in a character. Because from a GM standpoint and a player standpoint, as another player at the table, I'm not a big fan of, I want to make a persuasion check. I want to make this type of check. Is there any way that like I can grab the rope with both and hold it with all my might? But I mean, description and role playing comes with, I want to say years of playing, but some people take to it like water with fish.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion as a player that I don't even want to ask to make a persuasion check. I don't like when people ask to make insight checks either.
I hate it. I love my future wife, but I hate when she asks.
But like obviously
check. She doesn't even ask.
Yeah, there's ways to figure it out without having to yell insight check. You can say like, do I believe that? Like, I don't think my character would believe that. Or you could even I could say, so wait, that doesn't make any sense. Can you explain that
So
again? And then maybe the DM could say, all right, we'll make an insight check. You know what I mean? That way the DM's providing the rules and pushing the agenda through the rule set in the book, the DCs and different persuasion checks and deceptions and all that kind of stuff, insights. That should all be on when the DM wants to have you do it. So you should question maybe in character rather than question the DM. Do I believe that person? Maybe ask in character instead, and then the DM can say, all right, yeah, give me an insight check. Or like you said, I don't want to, instead of saying, I want to make a persuasion check on the clerk to get some gold off of this, you can say, like you said, move your hands around, like, I kind of roll a gold coin in one hand, and I go, man, this gold coin could really get me pretty far in my like, from where I'm going here. You think you could take something off? And then you could say, the DM would say, make a persuasion check at that point. That way you're not saying, I want to make a persuasion check. And the DM goes, how? Okay, great. Make a persuasion check. Yes, you get a gold off. That I think that takes away the immersiveness of the story and the world.
So there's a couple DM phrases that a lot of people say, like, how do you want to do this? You can certainly try. A player phrase can be, this seems too good to be true. That could be like, well, this seems a little far fetched. Does everything seem up on the level here? That's how you could say it in character, and you could just say, well, this seems a little far fetched, and you could say it as patch. And the DM could then potentially be like, yeah, make an insight check. Because that could be your inner monologue.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, insight checks aren't like... I mean, insight checks are good for big monologue or big story reveals, but insight checking the Apple dude to make sure that they're sending us on a quest that's not going to kill us, like... You're supposed to just deliver apples. Obviously, there's going to be things on the way that's going to get in the way. Like, the apple guy's like, I believe you. Yeah, you should believe me. Like,
so another thing, like for role playing, or like even like to for a player tip that I've learned, look at your skills and ask, be like, can I try to use my animal handling to settle down Stan so he won't keep barking as people walk by the door? And then the DM will say, "Yeah, sure." You don't have to say it in character. You can say it out of character, and that's a good way to start, like, getting familiar with the skills, and then start just describing what you're doing. And learning how to just stop your description before you make your roll, and then having the DM ask for the roll, and then having rolling a 2, and then having the DM explain how the dog just bit me in the hand. But that's what I've got for role playing and skills. You got any tidbits for the people?
I rolled a natural 20 on the animal handling, by the way.
Okay.
You see, he licked my face. He loved me.
Yep.
Until he hears someone knock.
Yep.
For role playing, I think just try to get comfortable, I guess. Maybe if you're new to the party, you're new to the game, and the people are new to you, the best way to get comfortable with people is to bring snacks. You want people to like you? Bring some snacks and some good drinks. People will be like, "Oh, sweet snacks! Let's do this." And
it's kind of one of the things that I did on the Friday game. is I started talking to Sal and Duke just as good old Ironhide, and see where it led him. See if I got him to break out of a shell. Sal didn't take too long. Duke's coming along.
Quiet
I was
type.
very excited. Yeah, I was very excited to hear that he was sad that we couldn't play that. So that made me Patch on the inside very happy.
And if you are a new player, and the part like the players that have been in part of the group, if they don't if they don't welcome you in with open arms, and you don't want to play with that group, D&D should be like I D&D makes me so happy that I want to spread it to other people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, all
Like
right.
if you brought in a new person to take a shit on their doorstep, got it. If
Exactly.
yeah, that's exactly, Tater. If
Now,
someone invites me to go play D&D that I've never played D&D with before, I'll probably say yes, because I want to
all
get to
right.
know more D&D people, and I would hope that they would be like, "Welcome in. Oh, great. We're so lucky that we have another player to play this and with us." Like, that's how I feel whenever I play D&D with someone new. I want to teach them the game. I want them to like it as much as I do. I want to force them to like it.
All right. I have a question for you. So let me give you this hypothetical, political, lyrical miracle whip. Um, you are the only veteran player in the game. You are not DMing. There is a session 0. What are the 3 questions you ask? You I couldn't word.
You
You ask
asks.
that D Yeah, you ask during the character creation, so that way people know that it's a cooperative game.
Well, you ask everyone what classes they want to play,
I wouldn't
because
even say that.
no,
I
because
wouldn't
you
even
want to
say
play
that.
that something that complements them, because you don't want to take away from a new player's uh wants, because you've played before. You can play any class you want anytime.
Yep. Yep.
So that's why it's like I'll pick the cleric if no one wants to be the healer, and I'll heal everybody just so
Yep.
everyone has fun and stays alive. That's my first question. Second question would be, do we know each other in game? Like, does
Ooh,
your character
right.
know
I
my
like
character? Because if they do know each other before this happens, then I want to make some backstory between you and me, and make sure that we have a cool little like story to tell people if we start to get to know them and trust them, that kind of thing. And number 3 would be, does anyone smoke weed, and who drinks beers? Because I'll bring some.
Oh, that's player. That's player. Okay. All right. Um, I assume that at least most people do one of the 2. So I will bring a little to share and see where that gets me. So I don't have to ask that question. The session 0 questions that I will always ask is, how long have we known each other? There's not It's not do we, it's how long? How long have we been traveling together? So that way that we have a sense of camaraderie. So that puts me at ease, so I know that if my character goes down or your character goes down, we all have each other's backs. Number 2, are any of us related? Because then that we know each other a little bit longer, a little bit more. Then we have, I can defer to your judgment, and then, I might be the older brother, but I'm trying to get you to be in a leader role. So that way I can potentially get you addicted to this game where you clickety clackety roll to attack me. Um, and the third question is, the first one that you started off with is, what classes do you guys want to play?
Right.
That's because I can play just about anything. I've never really played a paladin. I've never really played a fighter, except for like higher levels. But those are the only 2 that I haven't played.
But you've played all the other ones, and basically the paladin's like a mishmash of 3, and the fighter is one of the easier ones, depending on obviously your subclass. But you could no
If someone's
problem. You could no problem
if
it.
someone's already gonna be a healer, I'm gonna be like, yes, I will certainly be a champion fighter, so that way the combat will go a little bit easier, and if I crit on a 19, we'll be fine. Um, but that's like the session zero thing. That way, you have that team camaraderie. So that way, when shit goes awry in a battle, you know, people have got your backs, and people should already know the four things that you can do on a turn. Well, three things, and then the one thing.
Pauses
You
around.
have lots of gold. Look behind you, stab him back, and take gold. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's a rogue, but
Those are the three questions he asked. That's session zero. Session zero is like in person. Like
before you even have a character.
Do you own gold?
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, yeah.
I heard it's at a pretty good rate right now. Oh no, behind you. Step. Takes credit card. Oh, there he is again. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what. He doesn't even know what he's barking at.
So I don't care if you're gonna shut the door on me. Role playing is a little bit to get into. Making a character, once you get the race, background, class aspect done, you'll have that smoothness. And in combat, my biggest tips that I can always let you know, the things that just know what you can do on your turn, have them in your head. You have your movement, you have your action, and you have your bonus action. You have your reaction if something triggers, like spells or someone moving out of your range of attack, or out of melee with you if they don't disengage. But if you pair that with having your dice ready to roll, that will make combat a breeze and make a 8-hour long dragon fight turn into a 5-hour long dragon fight. What all classifies as a bonus action, or is it specific per class? So a bonus action is a very good question. The only bonus action in D&D that I ever use is a bonus action unarmed strike.
Hold on. No, that's not the question. You're getting way past the question. So what classifies as bonus actions? So every class has specific bonus actions. Mm-hmm. The only bonus action that is throughout all classes, I believe, is the bonus action unarmed strike. But that unarmed strike has to come after an attack action, right? It can't be like a spell and then an unarmed strike. That unarmed strike has to be attacked after attack action, right?
So how it works? So let's wait. So I could be backhandling motherfuckers this time. Yeah, you can.
Well, not when you're using your two-handed weapon.
Correct.
Because you have full hands. There's no unarms.
So how it works is typically what I do is I either use my action to do something, and then I use my bonus action to do something else, and then if I want to move, I move. Or I flip it around. I move, I use my action, and I use my bonus action. Depending on what class I am, that's when my bonus action starts to tweak. From the multitude that I've played, let's say my barbarian, to if we're in combat, there's a lot of motherfuckers, bonus action rage. I move up to some dudes. I build up my static charge. They have to make deck saves. That one over there, I roll the damage, which has already been done. And then I whack away at one guy twice because that's what I'm at for attacks now. So once you learn what your bonus action can do, that's when you want to figure out your plan of attack, which is usually like second level or third level, depending on your class.
Yeah, I have no bonus action to do
yet.
But if I get Misty Step, then I have a bonus action spell.
Correct.
So there's bonus action spells. There's bonus action. There's bonus action like hide for rogue or disengage.
Second wind for fighters.
Yeah, there's the bonus action for monks to do flurry of blows with the key point. Like there's a whole bunch of different class options for bonus actions. But I think, like I said, the only full every class is unarmed strike.
Unarmed strike. Yep. Typically, the only time you want to use your bonus action beforehand is if it's an augmenting spell or like a damaging spell. You're gonna use a cantrip, like a spiritual weapon,
Yep.
and then your cantrip, or misty step, and then the firebolt. Bonus action hide, attack. Bonus action rage, attack. Attack.
so
Bonus action.
so Tater I think it's 5th level, right? He gets his extra attack.
He gets the second attack. So
Yeah.
how it works for the monk is an interesting class because at level 1, their bonus action is a second attack. That gets the offhand, like the 2-weapon fighting, where you can use your dex modifier on it or your strength. And then you use your key points to augment that. Key points are just something that you can do so like you spend a key point, use Flurry of Blows, which is 2 unarmed strikes.
So you could in theory, Tater, you could grab a feat.
Top of the round.
I'm gonna say grab a feat at 4th level where you do your unarmed strikes do more damage. I think that's not is it Tavern Brawler or what's the other one? No, not Tavern Brawler. There's
Tavern Brawler is the one that
so you can have to add his strength.
Improvised weapon.
He gets to use his strength as a bonus. So you could get that. No, yeah, so you could get that, and then at 5th level you have an extra attack. So you'd have an attack. So what you could do is you could punch someone 3 times at that point because you're gonna hit them twice with your main hand, and then you're under your left hand basically with your bonus action. That's how.
So think about like /1, /2, headbutt.
Yep.
/1, /2, shoulder charge. I mean, it doesn't. Your unarmed strike doesn't have to be a punch.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though. Like, feasibly, if you wanted to get to mechanics, you could do 3 punches, 3 attacks with a bonus action used.
Yep.
But and later down the line, I think there's other bonus action things that happen for barbarians. I know it's like you can use your bonus action. Like if you hit, you can use your bonus action to move up to your speed further or something like
Frenzied Rage.
Yeah.
So you get your bonus action frenzy attack and all that shit. On the combat as well, spellcasters, for the love of God, read your spells.
Know what you're casting.
Read what you're casting, and then have a question ready if you have a question. Be like, Kent, does this thing look like it's large or bigger? Does it looks like it seems like it's been reactive to light? Does it seem like it has a hard time seeing in the dark? Because you can say things, and then your DM can ask you, but like make a nature check. And as that type of DM, I would not have that count against a turn.
Right. Depending on what you're looking for, I guess. There's some things that would definitely be an action, but if you hadn't been in the room yet and you're looking around the room in mid-combat,
yes,
I need you to make a perception check. That's going to take your whole action to go. But I think having your, like you said, have your spells, like know what you're going to cast before it gets to you, and if things change from when you figure out what you're going to do to when it gets to you, have your backup. Have a backup plan. Pay attention to combat if you're in the combat. If you're not in the combat and you're not in, like, if you're not part of the whole situation at all, pay attention. Just don't interrupt either, because that's not your time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't have a board that you can look at, pay the fuck attention. If you're a spellcaster, because you might not know who have moved into the fireball range.
Right. And know, like you said, know what your spell does that you're going to cast. Ask the DM. I mean, we've hit that monster a few times. Does it look like it's in like rough shape? Oh yeah, it's probably, it looks like it's a little haggard now and it's going to fall over shortly. I'd like to cast sleep on that monster.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that it probably has this amount of HP. I'm gonna hopefully roll a hot above it.
Always ask. Like, I believe there was a question that I asked that we completely almost subverted a whole combat if I would have read my spell and cast it at a higher level, but I didn't. I asked about the snake lady and I was like, "Does she look like she's from this plane?" And then you said no. And I went, "Okay, I'm going to cast banishment."
Yep.
And one of those is a set, one of those is a 2.
Yep.
And then you rolled the other die and she was banished. If I would have read my spell, I could have banished everything because I would have just cast it at a higher level. Number 1, number 2, I asked the question first, be like, does this weird snake lady with 6 arms and a fucking naga tail look like it would be on the material plane? No. Okay, I cast banishment. It goes off. I hear the pop, and now all we have to deal with is the Glaberizu.
Yep.
So,
That happens.
hmm
That happens. What tips do you have for players that don't have access to the books and like, or maybe they just the only time they get to see the books is when they're at the house playing?
I mean, that's a hard one for me because one, I have access to all the information at all times, no matter where I go, which is fucking hilarious now that I say it aloud and also kind of sad, but I love D&D. Um, the things that I will recommend, one, don't if you are a new player and you don't have access to the books, don't play a spellcaster that has all of the spells from the spell, like a cleric, a druid, or I believe it's a paladin, right? Those are the
Yep.
ones that have them all. That can kind of screw you in the long run. There are other mediums that you can get that aren't a book, and then you just have the spell cards. Um, 5e dot tools for people who have a phone or a tablet. If your DM will allow you and you're good with it, you can look it up on the fly. It's a handy thing. Get an ad blocker, but you can certainly look at different subclasses at the same time. Get an ad blocker and compare all kinds of different things. Like, oh, do I want to be the ancestral guardians or do I want to be the berserker type of barbarian? Get an ad blocker. Um, there's a lot of ads on that site. Sorry to Kevin Nealon it, but that's one of the things. To get a book, get a player's handbook. You should eventually, at some point, you don't need one, but it would certainly help. Get an ad blocker. Ah,
I think
get a book.
a good place to check would be your local library. I know that libraries are starting to hold some of those.
That's crazy.
You could go and sit down in the library and make your character, maybe, or maybe they have a store use one at your local game store. Check out your
Yeah, I don't leave
friendly
my house.
neighborhood game store. Now that they're starting to open back up after all this craziness, they could use some help over there. You might want to be able to go over and check out and see if they have the books there. You might be
The
able to
good
sit
thing
down and
there,
use one at their store and then maybe buy some minis or look
a set
into
of dice.
buying some dice, exactly, from your local neighborhood game store.
Honestly, like the big things that you can do, like if you're a new player who doesn't have access to a lot of like physical mediums, go to a library, ask them how much it is to print something. Go to a Staples, a Kinko's, someplace where you can print something. You can get this SRD, which is the source reference document for D&D, which has generic, watered down, like Path of the Berserker Barbarian. It doesn't have a whole bunch, but it's got all the spells you'll need, all the stuff you'll need to from 1 to 20. They gave it out for free at the beginning of the pandemic. So go print it out. Like get it, make it look nice. Then you spent what, $5? That's
Right.
$5 on your own. Like that's your baby. You can then do what I did, go out and buy the
You're
foil editions.
you're pointing at
Yeah,
nothing.
I'm pointing. Yeah, that's the out in the distance. That's
I
where I
think
live. That's where
I
my
would say that's
yeah
us back there.
yeah.
I think you
Um,
can see us waving from where we're at.
you can like I spent I think it was like $120 on my set of 3 books, but they're the foil. They came with the cool DM screen that's at your house. They have another set that's coming out that's Tasha's, Fitzband, and Mordecaine's, and I was like, fuck you, I want that too. But at the least, buy a player's handbook. That is, I can't stress. You can find someone on Facebook Marketplace, go to eBay. As long as the pages are legible, you can read them. It's a copy, and then you don't have to ask people.
They're not too expensive on Amazon. At full price, they're only like $30, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. If there's another player in your party who doesn't have a player's handbook, see if you guys can go Dutch.
Yeah, or you could ask someone that is in the game with you if you could borrow theirs for a weekend.
Yeah, like, I mean, so let's just use the former Tuesday game. Like, you have a book, Vandal has a book. There are 2 books in my house. Knocker has a book, Chris has a book. Everyone has a book. So if someone came in and
didn't have anything, take this. You have it as long as you need it.
Yep.
I need to get a new one. Mine's falling apart.
That's good though. That means you've used it.
I know that they will replace them too, so I'm going to have to just send them a picture of some of the pages falling out.
So we're experienced players. What tricks have you learned that you can ask you can use in your arsenal? This is like a new player and an experienced player. What are some things that you?
I like having. I like to do crazy stuff. I think with my character, I try to push the limits as far as I can with their class options. So, like, if I'm the barbarian, I'm gonna try to pick up the chair, break it over my knee, and try to like stab the guy with like the end of the chair. So I obviously have to make a strength check to break the chair. Like, I want to do all this extra stuff to get like the cool ending. So the trick that I would say is explain exactly what you want to do, like from the start to the finish, and let the DM decide how to do it. Don't throw options out for the DM to take. Tell the DM what you want to do and let them decide your fate, because that's what's supposed to happen. Don't say, I think I should make a strength check because I want to break this over my knee. Then I'd like to do this move and whatever, maybe a dexterity check, or then now you're doing a whole bunch of extra stuff that maybe the DM will just say, oh yeah, no, you totally can do that. Roll to hit. Like, don't be more exact with what you want to do, and let the DM decide your fate from there.
Going back to our Tiamat campaign, rules can be broken. If you've got a DM who's a free spirit and likes to play games, what up, Uncle Sander 182? How's it going? It's wonderful. We're giving you some tips and tricks. Ask if you can do this. Can I do that? I would like to dimension door me and my dragon 500 feet and then be out. Can I do that? And then if you've got a cool DM like the Infinity Pizza Man, he'll say yeah. And your fiance will have a fucking conniption fit because
that's not the rule.
That is one of my favorite things to do, is ask. There is no harm in asking, because you'll either get, sure, you can do that, or you'll get the 3 words or the 4 words that a DM loves to say. You could certainly try. Like, I got away with a lot in the last 2 turns of that fight. I dimension doored a dragon, and I bullshitted a wish scroll. So it worked. Simply because I asked. I'm like, I'm the type of character that would have a backup plan, right? And he's like, yeah, you certainly would. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go over to Bob's house and I'm gonna get my fucking emergency shit. And then you just let me go wild, because I assumed like
I was creating a history for the world that we were in that we didn't have. I was trying to give reasons why we were doing all of the bullshit that you guys were doing. So I decided to let you guys create your own history for the game. And we turned all of the dragons into chickens, and from
After
there,
clicking.
we had a history for why the dragon cult is trying to bring Tiamat back.
um, that's one of the things that I've learned, like through watching like different podcasts and things, and asking like, is there a chandelier in here?
Yeah, right.
Like you never know. You could get a smile and yeah, why not? And then be like, yes, I would like to swing from the chandelier and stab that man in the neck. You never know what you can get a yes to, or you can be like, we're gonna know. It never hurts to ask. Um, that's one of my tricks that I like to pull out on every DM that I like to. I don't think I've done it to Vandal yet, but we're only level 3, so I don't think I'm gonna. I have more fun breaking people with banana pudding.
What are some of the things that you don't do but you've seen people do?
Like I said, the Jim Dark Magic thing, like seeing how far I can push my magic, that's kind of been something. I watched Jim Krahulik do that for like months, and I was like, why don't I do that? I'm gonna do that, and I did it. Um, Watching battle highlights from Critical Role helped with me, like just kind of describing my hits as a DM and as a player. Like if you have that DM who knows like Thundercat, fucking, I know Patch like what he loves kung fu and wrestling. I will certainly ask him how he wants to punch this dragon in the face. Yeah, and then I'll explain something fucking ridiculous, or I'll just say where I want to hit it. Um, wha- Spells. Honestly, watching a lot of people like flavor their spells, like goddamn Jester was a fucking inspiration for like magic missiles and spiritual weapons to be fucking anything. Of course, why wouldn't a spiritual weapon? Why can't it be a lollipop? It's magic. Why not?
Brick's magic missiles were middle fingers.
Yeah, like it's one of those, flavor goes a long way, and then like listening to people flavor things differently, or
Yeah, it's fun to see how different people explain things too, like to hear someone else's like ideas and their like what they got going on in their head, because like I said, I mean, I guess a tip, this would be a good tip. um put some sort of imagery in your head of what this world looks like. I like I said, I always do like a like late 80s cartoon, like a He-Man or a Thundercats type cartoon. Like that's what I always see us play, like the D&D cartoon. Like that's how I see our players, is like when we're playing and when we're in game, I see a bunch of cartoon characters like going across in a wagon with full of apples, and the cow man in the back is just munching on apples one after another. You see cores just like flipping out the back, just like slowly flipping out the back, while the little halfling is sitting next to the giant half giant, and they're having a conversation about apples. Like, and I just see the big rosy cheeks on Malcolm, the really like the offsetting white skin of Duke, and just the massive muscles all around him, like like little Malcolm just sitting next to that and big man. Like that's what I see. 80s cartoon.
my thought process is it's usually how like I see Ironhide as like kind of like Jim Henson-y, like TMNT
I like
style,
that. I
like
like that.
yeah. I picture like Duke as like kind of I really picture as him as Jack Jason Statham Grog. Um Clementine reminds me of like Lucy Lou fucking librarian, like that type of like actiony art style. Malcolm, you remind Like the art style, if I was to do it for Malcolm, it would be like the rosy cheeks and just the way he talks. He looks like he would be. Do you remember? You've seen Hercules, the Disney Hercules, right? You know the Jeepers, Mister, you're really strong. That little fucking kid, that guy. And then just accentuate him that, and then have the rosy cheeks. Um, I picture it like Sal is kind of like this brooding, like almost anime, like Boondocky Saints type
Yeah.
style. But I have that amalgamation in my head, and then the DM paints the scenery around it. That's what I like to do. Because two is a transformer in my head. I don't know what he turns into, but he literally looks like a transformer. And like every game, I always start off with like Kador is like the Metalocalypse style artistry, but he looks like Dritz. But like instead of like a shredding an axe, he plays a bagpipe. 'Cause why the fuck not? That echoes in a cave and pisses people off. Though we had someone who was on a dragon stabbing him with a sword. Yeah.
My DM let us do some crazy stuff if it's creative and not too crazy. Of course, he says no sometimes, which brings me to a good point. As a player, if a DM says no, it's not the end of the world. At least you asked a question.
It's the end of that idea.
Yeah, move on to the next one. Yeah.
Yep.
And the DM, I made this quite clear during our DM tips and tricks. You can say no, DMs. You can.
Yes, you may.
We pinned a dragon down with some tents and stuff, though we had someone on the dragon stabbing it with the swords. Okay. I'd have to probably hear the whole thing and how it went. But
with the way that I DM, if that was like, if I was describing it as like an action scene, it would be a skills contest, and that one person on the back of it, like stabbing it, I would either be athletics or attack rolls. If the DM says no, then stab him. I mean, you can. Then you need to get a new DM. Because most DMs are forever DMs until we have another DM that wants to forever DM.
Then that DM's dead. Until you don't like when the DM says no again and you stab the next one. It's a never-ending process. That's why there's so many players and no DMs. They just keep getting stabbed.
Yep. Thanks, Fuzz.
Well, don't remember not to play with Fuzz. Fuzz, you're gonna DM the next game.
Yep. And if we don't like it, you can stab us. Wait, what? No.
Wait. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other tips and tricks that I can think of right now off the top of my head.
Oh, I mean, if you really want to see tricks in action, you should certainly check us out on Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch the War for Garaxia. I know whenever I'm presented with a challenge, my brain works in weird ways, so sometimes I will think in a strange manner and get a result that I was not looking for, and it will work. Who knows?
Or you could try to intimidate the air elemental for no reason.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is he just being a dick to be a dick? Yeah, he's being a dick to be a dick. All right, well, I'm just gonna stand here and I'll have lots of gold to play.
It was really hard for Malcolm to be like that too, though. But yeah, you could check out Malcolm and Ironhide on Friday night at 9 p.m. Between 9 p.m. and 9:30 Eastern, with the War for Garaxia hosted and DM'd by Vandal Zero. I laugh every time I say hosted.
Once again, you can just put it as the second billing. Because, I mean, there are 6 of us on the show. We can host with somebody else. We can have it rotate, and then we can chuckle as we say, hosted this week by Ossitator. Which the problem is we have Ossitator host it. He's going to do a great job, and then we're all going to feel shitty about it. And then then we're just going to have him keep doing.
Well, we know we should totally have DD do it after what happened last week.
Yeah. As a DM, even if you say no to a crazy plan, it still encourages them that you're not wrong.
100%. 100%, Uncle Sander. Yeah, as a DM, you definitely want to encourage them to make more crazy ideas, even if you have to say no. Yeah. Anything that you encountered about playing that you had to make something new in your head? Anything like that?
What do you mean?
Like something that you encountered in game that you had to make, like you had to like figure out a tip or trick about later on. Something that you. Oh, I got one. I got a great one for your character sheet. If you're gonna write out your character sheet in pencil, what I do for my spells, if there's like one like mage armor or something that you want to do every 8 hours, I take a pen and I will make a circle with the pen, and I will just fill it in, shade it in with my pencil anytime I cast mage armor. So then I go, okay, I used mage armor. I'm good for said 8 hours.
That's also something I do with a paper sheet for like rages,
Exactly.
charges on things.
Different charges, and that was the other thing I was gonna add it to. Also, I have a spot where I put gold pieces, platinum pieces, copper pieces, and I write GP in pen, PP in pen, CP in pen, SP in pen. And then that way, anytime I erase my gold pieces, I don't erase the GP. The GP stays, and I just write in the new number of gold pieces.
If you have a bag of holding, ask how much things weigh. And any way I will say this, your inventory should not be on your player character sheet. It should be on an index card. But the amount of erasing that can go on and writing on there, there's not enough fucking room.
They give you, if you print out the full character sheet, it's 3 sheets. They give you an extra sheet that has a treasure spot. You can actually write like your bag of holding on that treasure spot, and then make a box in that spot to write your stuff.
It fits the essentials. Pocket sand. Exactly. Not wrong. Pocket sand and pocket dog.
So yeah, that would be that was one of the tips I thought of earlier. I'm glad I remembered it. Use a pen to like get your charges so you can fill them in when you use them, and erase them when you get them back after rests or whatever. All right, yeah. So we talked about the War for Garaxia on Friday night. We have a new schedule coming. We're trying to figure out what's going on with Dysfunctional Dad's schedule. So Mondays right now we're going to postpone Survival Mondays until we figure out when we can do Survival Night. So from here on out, you have Tuesday nights with us here at Dysfunctional Gaming talking D&D at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have Friday nights with Vandal Zero and the War for Garaxia at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday nights, right now at 9:30 p.m., we have team games, team night. So you can check us out there on this station on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Then what about you?
Supplementals. I stream. Probably going to be streaming a while tomorrow because the boss is still not feeling good and I don't have to work again. So we are a 4-day weekend has turned into an 8-day weekend.
A vacation.
My brain is going insane. Yeah. I know. But yeah, Wednesday I'll be doing some more DM prep. Thursday, hopefully I'll be returning to work. Then doing an afternoon stream, and then Saturday, Sunday, I do mid-afternoon streams. Now that everything's set up the way I want it, because if it's just a little off right, I have to fix it. How about you?
Tomorrow I should be streaming at some time. I'll probably be getting back into Metal Gear Solid 2 again. I played it for 2.5 hours the other night. I ran through the whole fucking thing, and then I died finding the fucking bomb that needs to be defused and had to start all over again. And I was like, I'm going to take a break from this for a little while. And I went and played Breathage for like a half an hour, and then I called it there. But I'll be back to doing that again tomorrow at some point. I also might be playing some games with our friend Ossitator tomorrow afternoon. I don't know. We haven't decided yet if we're actually going to play or if we're going to try to schedule something soon. But we might play Sea of Thieves.
I have Sea of Thieves.
Oh, we could get a patch.
Oh, good pirate voice going. That'd be fun.
We could get great. Play any game with patch. It's just, and one that he can throw bombs at us. Great.
Whoa, wait a minute. There are bombs. I can blow up the ship, and I have bombs.
Yeah,
okay.
They're the scatter bombs. Yeah.
I'm in.
Great.
Let's do this. Sea of Thieves. Come on, Ossitator.
We don't. Yeah, we might play with. I might play with Ossitator tomorrow. I'm gonna tell Tater to not let you play with him.
All right, fine. I'll go get my own Sea of Thieves with blackjack and hook.
He's gonna show up on our server and chase us down and start killing us on purpose.
Yar har har, Cotton Patch.
I've found you. Oh god. Oh man. Yeah. We also have our Patreon. Tell them a little bit about what's on our Patreon.
The Patreon. Yes, the thing that we give you stuff for when you give us money. There are Randy. What do we call those?
Randy raids.
No, the ones that aren't Randy raids.
Oh, the behind the scenes.
The BTS stuff.
The what is it called? The VH1 behind the music.
Yeah, the behind the music with Randy Newman. There is the D&D notes. There is the session zeros with the people. I don't know how many are up there.
There's two. There's three. You, Beth, and Dee Dee are up there right now. The next two will be going up at the end of this month, probably.
Noise.
Well, the end of December, because it is the end of this month.
But you get all those benefits for the low price of tell them Thundercat.
$3 a month. I think.
I
think that's what it is.
Something like that. It's cheap.
Yeah, and we also have some VR chats that we did. We also have a couple of behind the scenes meetings where we talked about Eminem. I think on one of them. Yeah, you get some cool stuff in there. We're always going to be adding new stuff. We're trying to figure out what we're going to add for new content. We have a lot of good ideas coming out. We just need to find the time to do it all. Also, check us out on Twitter. Dysfun Game TTV or Dysfun Game at Dysfun Game. I don't even know what it is.
Exclamation mark links to the doobly doo. Yep.
Yeah, you can go to our link tree, Dysfunctional Gaming.
Bam.
Wrong, Fuzzrab. Wrong.
It's okay. He's tired. It's late.
I know. I love him. Cool. What are we doing next week?
We are talking about time travel. We are talking about both the narrating the passage of time if you are traveling through the Underdark or on a caravan, or if maybe some time has passed with some downtime, or if you're like me and Thundercat getting some freaky shit with some Doctor Who. Doodle-doo-doo, 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 doodle-doo.
Jeez, I'm so sorry for the audio listeners. I would apologize for that. Yes, and if you wanted to find us in the audio world, how do you find us?
You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Anchor FM and all the places where you go to listen to things that you can put within your ear potatoes.
And if you can't get us on Twitch, you can find all of the videos from all of these episodes on YouTube. I try to load them every week on Tuesday. So we have all of them up there. All 45 episodes are on YouTube right now if you want to catch back up. The OnlyFans we had to cancel, we lost almost all of our money on the firefighter / the streamer calendar. It didn't really work. With some mustache grooming. Well, that's Patreon content if you want the mustache grooming tips.
Yeah, so how it works is for the mustache grooming, you start with the top and then work your way down, and that's what I'll give you for free.
All the rest is $3 a month on Patreon. All right, we need to find someone to to raid over to?
We can.
Main event is on his 2 years.
2 years? Wow. You know what's weird? It's weird to think that come this summer and this fall, we will have been streaming for almost 2 years. And then
Mine's like April or May.
we're almost 6 weeks out on doing this for a year.
Yeah. 4 more episodes, we're at 50. That's crazy.
Cray. So once again, Randy has sent in a telegram.
Oh gosh. You can read it in a second. All right. We're gonna go to main event because the calendar was a hit. We didn't make any money. It was you bought like the one calendar, Vandal.
And there was a typo. Fucking Disdo.
I know. That was bad.
April.
It even said staring. Not starring, staring. All right, tell me what this telegram says from
Well, it
Randy.
came in via owl.
No, don't tell me Rickman's back again.
No.
Okay.
No.
I just figured owl, Harry Potter, Rickman, the whole.
I know. That's what I thought too. But then the man who knocked on
Tristan!
the door was
Hashtag F Mark in the chat.
was 8 feet tall, and he just happened to know an owl. Hello.
Hi.
I see we're doing some songs now, right?
Yeah, you're all you, Grog. Thanks for stopping by, Tristan. Thank you for stopping in, Uncle Sander.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in. And so for the next month until Christmas time is done, I'm gonna talk to you, Patch, by doing Christmas songs. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as a peel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black eel. Ba-doo-ba-doo-boo-doo. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You have garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. Ba-doo-ba-doo-boo. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given a choice between the two of you, you take the seasick crocodile. Ba-doo-ba-doo-boo-doo. We'll see you next week. Bidet.